Hi everyone and welcome to the SWPL My Story podcast, and today we are joined by Siobhan Hunter. How are you doing, Shiv?
I'm good, thanks. You?
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm great, thanks. So what we'll look to do today is tell your story, tell us all about your career, how you got to where you are, and then we can just tell everyone where the game is going to be going here in Scotland. So to kick us off, tell us how you got into football. Where did you start off?
Just kind of from a young age, I just like playing around with football in the back garden. I think if you ask any footballer, even if they don't play football, you did that as a youngster. You just had a ball at your feet. And yeah, my dad kind of drove me to do that, my granddad. And yeah, I played with my brother pretty much all the time. My sister tried to get involved at one point and was hopeless. But no, it was just kind of from a young age, from my family, and they pushed me on. And yeah, just something I really enjoyed to do, and I didn't ever think I would get to this point in my career, but yeah, grateful for the opportunities I've had throughout, and hopefully more to come.
Brilliant. So what was your first club?
My first club was Edina Hibs, so it was just a boys' club in the Jewel in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So they started off there, just played on a Sunday, played with my school throughout the week, and then it just kind of went from there. I played there for a couple of years, and then got scouted from Hibs. Brian Ross, it was at the time, came along, asked me if I wanted to join Hibs, and yeah, from being a fan, I wasn't going to say no, so yeah.
So when you were playing for Edina Hibs, was there any other girls in the team?
There was one other girl, Claire McEwen. She played for Hibs as well, but yeah, it was just me and her. Got a stick a few times, but I remember there was a time where I think two of us maybe linked up on the wing, and yeah, I played wing back then. Don't play there now. But nah, they were kind of surprised. One of them says, "Oh wow, they can actually play." And from there on, it was kind of, they more accepted it, which is good, because I know that there's been players that have maybe got bullied or not been let into clubs because of that reason, because of their girls. So yeah, my club was quite good for that, thankfully, and then helped me on in my career.
Brilliant. So how old were you when you made the step up to Hibs girls?
I was 11 at the time. I went to under 13s, so I was probably 2 years below what I should be. But yeah, just went in there and kind of open-minded, just played football at that age. It's just about playing. It wasn't about anything winning or being an individual. It was just being in a team environment, and yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, and you've already touched on it, but being a Hibs fan, how did that feel when you actually got the call and then you went along on trial and then ended up signing for them? How was that for you?
Yeah, it's probably sinking in probably a little bit now. Back then you were just a kid, you just enjoyed playing football, and it just felt like you had the strip on you've had your whole life. But no, I'm forever grateful for that opportunity. I think to be able to play for the club that you support is probably next to none. I think people that do it, they probably take it for granted. But no, I'm thankful for each day that I'm allowed to wear that badge, and yeah, it's a bit cliche, but yeah, I love the club and I love playing for it.
Yeah, are your family all Hibs fans, putting them on the
They
spot
are,
here? That's lucky.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to. I remember somebody bought me a maroon top for my Christmas, and I walked into my nana's with it on, and she was like, "What's that?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "You can't wear that in here." So yeah, that got binned quite quickly. So yeah, I'm not even allowed to wear maroon.
So Hibs through and through then.
Yeah,
That must have been a proud moment for them as well.
Yeah.
Seeing you make that transition.
Yeah, it's huge. Even my nana, she doesn't like football at all, doesn't watch it, but she's even a huge fan of it. And yeah, all my cousins, sister, brother, mum, dad, everyone, it's just a Hibs family, and to be able to wear that strip each week, they're so proud. And it's probably for them, it's quite nice that it's a female doing it as well, because my brother obviously played football, and my dad, my granddad, but yeah, it's different probably to what they imagined their little girl would grow up and do. But yeah, it's a nice feeling, and I'm glad I make them proud.
Brilliant. So you've made the move to Hibs at 11, just going into high school, I'm assuming, at that stage. How did you find the demands of training at a club of that level whilst trying to go through school at the same time?
Yeah, it was difficult. I think at that age you're all for football or the sport that you play. I think back then your school, it's just you go along and you try and get through the day, and I've got training tonight. So yeah, it was quite a hard balance to do, but I think if you put in the hours, put the effort and the training, that you knew you would get somewhere. And I think that was probably in the back of my mind, that if I keep working at school, I would then be able to get the rewards after school.
Yeah. And throughout your career up until this point, Hibs has always had a great reputation for bringing players through. So did you look up to any of the players that were maybe a few years above you and think, I want to emulate them, I want to be like them?
Yeah, I think probably my age group that I was at, there was probably superstars now that they're doing now. Like the likes of Caroline Weir, for example. She was one that I played alongside, and you can look at her now, she's probably one of the best in the world. So yeah, to be able to play like players like that, Kirsty Smith, Claire Emsley, Hannah Reid, you could go on with the list. But yeah, I think when I was under 11, you probably never seen the first team as much. You didn't know probably who they were, but as you got older, it was like the likes of Gemma Fay, Joelle Murray, Laura Kennedy. There was loads. Like you could go on the amount of players that have done so well for themselves. But yeah, I think the academy through as well, there was a stepping stone for you to move up to the first team. So it was always there for you to do. It was just whether you wanted it or not.
Yeah. So we're now going to touch on your debut, Aberdeen away.
Yeah, I don't know if I've got that wrong. It might be Forfar away, but it's pretty much the same thing, isn't it? Yeah, I remember just getting a phone call. I was pretty young. I probably shouldn't have been playing there, to be honest. And I remember getting on a bus and it was just full of, when I was young, it was just full of women. And you didn't really know where to look. You didn't know what to say. And it was quite a scary emotion, but I think one that maybe just set me in stone to then perform. I remember being in the changing room, I looked to my right and there was Gemma Fay. Like I grew up watching her play for Scotland. So yeah, it was probably one of those that you just kind of took it like a pinch of salt. And when I look back now, it was incredible to be able to given that chance to play with the first team and just be on a trip. I remember coming back, and back then you got to carry out on the way back, and I was just sitting like, where am I? I don't know what to do here. But no, it was part of football then. It was probably more enjoyable that you were allowed to do things like that. Nowadays it's a job now, it's professional, and it's not really seen much nowadays. But no, it was good. I loved every second of it, and yeah, I think I got about 10 minutes, which was good. I think I was about 15, so to get that.
How did you feel when you got the call, if you're down the touchline warming up and you get shouted back up and you know you're going to step over that white line, and no matter what you do in your career at that point, you've appeared for Hibs, you've achieved what you wanted to achieve. So how were the nerves as you're standing there waiting to go on?
I was probably shaking like a leaf, to be honest, because all these things go through your head. It's not just a physical game, it's a mental game. You think, what if I do this, what if I do that? It's all what ifs, and you start to panic. But I think the group that we had, they were just around you, and no matter what you did, if it was good or bad, they were there, just encouraging you. And it was good because they were a little bit older, and to see a youngster come through, that's what they wanted. They knew that if they develop the youngsters, it's then helping Hibs to perform at a higher level. So yeah, everyone around me was good. I can't remember if I was very good or not, but no, I'll take it. It was a good journey up.
Brilliant. So then you went on and you started to establish yourself as a first team player, and then Hibs went through a real purple patch of winning domestic trophies. Do you remember your first winners' medal?
I'm trying to think now. I'm not being big-headed here at all. I obviously know we've won a lot, but no, I think they all stick together. I think to be able to win one trophy as a player is an incredible achievement. I think if you've not won it, it's hard to get there. But when you win one, you want to then win the next one, the next one, the next one. And probably the last 3 years has been difficult because we've had a switch in mindset where we've not won. We've not been probably close enough. Maybe got there to finals, semi-finals, whatnot. But yeah, it's hard. That's why I was always one that over-celebrated as such. People are like, oh, like, why are you celebrating so much? But I kind of took it in my stride that it might not happen again. So to be able to win a cup, it was something that I cherished, and I wanted to celebrate. I was always the loudest, dancing in the middle, and I think one of those things you just need to enjoy. I think as footballers, if you win cups, it's a huge achievement, and yeah, I just loved it. It was such a different feeling of, like, everyone loves winning football games, but to win a cup or a medal, even runners up nowadays, you see players take the medal off as soon as they get it, and I just think, like, for me, I would never ever do that. Like, as a child, you want to win cups, you want to win medals, so yeah, to get a runners up, obviously you want to win. and you want to win that winner's medal. But yeah, to see people take off their runner's medal, it's not really great. For if I was a little kid and I seen someone else do that, I would be like, I don't know why are they doing that. So yeah, for me, it's a different emotion. It's something that holds with you forever. And yeah, I think as a kid, you win cups, and it's maybe, I don't know, like a kids tournament, you win it and you see all the kids go mental. But it's such a nice thing to see. It's what you want kids to do. You want, even as adults now, you feel like a kid again. That's like the emotion that you get. And yeah, I just loved winning cups. But yeah, probably the one I scored, and I would say that was probably the best one, because obviously Glasgow City, they've been doing it for years. To be able to beat them the first time in 90 minutes, that was the first time, and I don't even know, like it was a long time, but it was always penalties, extra time. So that was the first real time that we bet them in 90 minutes, and it was just a different kind of feeling that you got. It was almost like we achieved something bigger than the cup. So yeah, that was probably my most memorable one. But yeah,
I was going to say, you're massively downplaying your goal here. Well, it depends what article you read. Sometimes it's 30 yards, sometimes it's 35. Might be 40 yards, but how did it feel? Like, that one must live with you. You can probably shut your eyes and see that one flying in.
My nephew, he's like a Hibs, like he's the Hibs daft, and he always says, "Oh, remember you scored that free kick?" And it was like little moments like that. And I remember getting the ball and I thought, I'm going to shoot here, and then I remember somebody being like, "You're not shooting, are you?" And I was like, "No, I am." But I think probably because we were 2-0 up at that stage, if it was 0-0, nobody would let me take it. But no, I don't say I do that every week, but I do have occasions where I can hit it and it goes in. So yeah, I think the way the game was going, everyone was confident. Anyone could have took it on that day, and yeah, I was just hoping for the best. But after she put 2 people in the wall, I thought, right, we've got a real good chance here. Because if you got 4 people in the wall, you have to really get it bang on. But I think the fact that they had 2 in the wall
probably shows you how far out it was.
Yeah, she's not shooting, but yeah. Something in my head was telling me to shoot. But no, I think, yeah, it was a good goal. I think if I was to see it, I would be impressed. So yeah, I'll take it. I don't get many goals as a centre back, but no, that one's probably.
When you score ones like that, you don't need to score many.
Yeah, sure.
So, as you were progressing through with Hibs, before you got to the first team level, you were playing with the Scotland youths. How was that experience for you?
Yeah, go on about saying how you're grateful for every opportunity, but to play for Scotland, if you speak to any footballer, that's probably the pinnacle of their career. It's something that people say they dream of it. I never ever dreamed of it. I never ever thought that was going to be a thing that would happen. I just thought where women's football was at, it was very few opportunities. So yeah, to be able to do that through all youth level, I actually captained Scotland as well, and I remember getting told and went back to my room and started crying, because it's something that you just see all these big players do, and you never think it would be you. So yeah, I think for the coaches, and even the coaches at Hibs, they give you the platform to go perform, and if you're performing there, then you can get the chance to play at Scotland. So yeah, I think I'm grateful for everyone that got me there. Obviously I got myself there as well, but I think without all these people around you, you can't get halfway there. So yeah, it's an incredible achievement. If anyone gets the opportunity to do it, take it with both hands, and don't let it pass you by, because I've had 2 Scotland caps. I would love to have more, but to be able to have 2 is probably it's more than enough for me. And there's people that don't even get close to it. So yeah, I think be able to just take the moment in, enjoy it, and cherish every single second you're there, because it's very few people that get the opportunity to do it. And yeah, it's probably the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. So talking to that, tell me about your debut.
Yeah, I was with Caroline Weir and Claire Emsley, so 2 massive players that we pretty much grew up the whole way through. And we actually got our cap all at the same time, which was really nice, because we came through the youth all the way through the Hibs, through the first team, and then all came on together. So yeah, it was a really special moment, because it's quite scary when you're there, that you're going on, you're playing for Scotland, everyone's watching you. But to be going on with those players, it made it probably a little bit easier. But yeah, Scotland were winning at that point, so it wasn't
That
too
helps.
bad. Yeah, always helps. I actually went on as a defensive mid, so yeah, I think I pretty much did doggies the whole time. Never touched the ball much, but no, I loved every single second of it, and to be able to represent your country, there's no better feeling.
Yeah. So what we'll go on to now is we'd like to let the viewers and the listeners know about how women footballers at this time are trying to juggle being at that professional level, trying to achieve what they've set out to achieve, but then you've also got a day job, you've still got your daily life. So talk to us a little bit about that and how you've found that, how you've managed to balance it over the years. Is it getting easier, or is it maybe getting any more difficult?
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to do. I think when you tell people, when they say, what, you're doing 2 full-time jobs, so yeah, it's really difficult to do, and something that you pretty much just have to get on with, because if you want to be a footballer, then you have to put in the hard work, and unfortunately for women's football, it's not a paid job that you can just do. It is now, which is good. I'll speak about that in a minute, but yeah, I remember I used to do a cleaning job that I used to be I used to train in the morning, 6:30 till 7:30, and then I would then go to college. This was the first few years, and then I would train at night. So you were going to training, college, and then training at night, and then you would do the whole cycle again, and then the next day and the next day. So it was pretty much 7 days a week. Obviously the Saturday and the Sundays you got off, but it was 3 times a day doing different things, and then it was the same thing. I then did training in the morning, and I did a cleaning job, and then I went to training at night, which is difficult because like a cleaning job for me is you clean your house. It's quite tiring at times, and there's different demands of what house you're at. Sometimes it was at a multi-millionaire's house, and you had to see the floor shining before you left, or you'd go in and it was an easy clean. So yeah, it was difficult. I think working all those hours, I was 8 till 5, then I was 5:30 till 7:30 at training, and you have to kind of fit in. I was getting I had chicken and rice on the go. You just had to
living out of Tupperware boxes,
yeah,
basically.
I hate the sight of them nowadays because it just reminds me of it. But no, being able to juggle all that is hard, because football is a physical sport, so you have to be able to keep up with the demands of the game, and if you've been on your feet all day, not ate maybe properly or not drank enough water, it can have an effect on your performance, and ultimately that's what the coach is looking at. If he I'm not saying didn't care, but his main focus is on the performance you have on the pitch. So whether you've been on your feet all day or not working, then it doesn't really matter because they want the best player on the pitch. So yeah, it was difficult, and you had times where you're too tired or you get injuries because you've been on your feet, and yeah, it's a difficult thing to do because you have to juggle all these things, and sometimes it's quite hard because you just want somebody to put their arm around you and say it's all right, but sometimes you just have to bite the bullet and get on with it, and that was probably the most difficult part because you've seen maybe teams in England, teams in Spain and whatever, they just do that as a job, and they didn't have I've got work tonight or I've had to work this morning. So yeah, it's difficult to watch the other teams progress onto that, but yeah, nowadays it's a lot better. I think now I've got the opportunity to play for Hibs full time, so that is my full time job, which for me is that is the biggest thing in my whole entire life. I've been wanting that for my whole life. To be able to say that is my job, it's such an honour and something that I've always wanted to do, and I'm so grateful to be able to do that, and it now means that I can put all my work into that, trying to be the better player that I am, better person, and yeah, I think it's progressing slowly. I think majority of the teams or half the teams in the league are now at that stage, but there's still teams that aren't, and I honestly take my hat off to them because it's so difficult, especially if you're doing the job, you're then going to training, and then you have to play a full-time team who have just been playing. They don't have the other worries, and sometimes they get beat 4-0, and I feel sorry for them because if I wasn't full-time, then I'd probably be in the same situation. And it's not a case of, I'm just playing football. They've got 100 different things on, and we're just lucky enough to just focus on that, and we can perform probably at a higher level. But yeah, it's difficult to see other teams maybe not stepping up, but I'm hoping in the next few years that they'll be able to step up because each year it is getting better. whether that's getting, all right, we're allowed in this building, or we can get the access to this gym. So yeah, I hope that teams will back their women's side, because it's so big. It's a project. I think you'll see that in a lot of teams. If you look at, probably I'll use Rangers as an example, they were nowhere near full time, and if you look at them now, they were unbeaten one year to win the cup. So yeah, you can see why they've done it now, and they're getting the rewards for it. So yeah, I hope that the teams below us, maybe they can push on and get full time.
Brilliant. So when it comes to, like, you were just talking about it there, how you're now full-time professional, how proud you are of that. How have you found the transition to just doing that, and how's that impacted on, like, your performances? Or how do you feel it's impacted on your performances, that you can give your full focus to being the best player that you can?
Yeah, I think I'm one person that doesn't like to sit around. You get players that they train full time. Last year it was maybe you'd finish 2 o'clock, so you've got that full time to yourself. Whereas I'd be like, right, what can I do now? Which probably didn't do me the justice of good, because I'm then on my feet again all day and I'm not actually relaxing. So yeah, it's difficult to get that change. You have to change your mindset for it, because if you don't do it, you don't meet the demands of the training, and ultimately that's what's most important. Because like I said earlier, the coaches is looking at you performing. They want you to be the professional player on the pitch, but also off the pitch. And I think this year, from the first week that we've been back, that's been one of the main things that our manager's looking for, is to be professional on and off the pitch. Because nowadays the media that you're getting, you're being not watched, but you are being watched. Like, people recognise you in the street now, or they walk past you and say, "Oh, that's Siobhan," or which is strange. I'm just a normal human being, but no, it's lovely to see. But I think nowadays you're a role model pretty much 24/7. Whereas before you went to training, that was it. You went home, and that was kind of it. But nowadays you need to be careful, and I think that was probably the biggest message we got this week, which is good, because it kind of brings you to a level that you need to be at, and you have to perform on the pitch, but you also have to be a role model for anyone in day-to-day life, and it will then help us perform, because I think last year we were nowhere near where we should be as a Hibs team, and I think pretty much we all know that. So yeah, it's difficult to change, but I think one that I'm still learning to do. I'm now going home and lying on my couch rather than cutting my grass or something like that. But no, it's something that you have to change your lifestyle to. And you see all the professional footballers, you don't very rarely see them do anything out of character. So yeah, it's good, and I think women's football is progressing hugely. But to be able to do it as a full-time job, it's something that we're all grateful for, and we appreciate the club doing it, because I think now we can progress even more, probably get back to where we were, hopefully, over time.
Brilliant. So you touched on it there about players are now role models. They always have been role models, but they're probably more visible than they ever have been. But I can imagine that's something that you're really proud of, that especially maybe in the Hibs Academy and the girls looking up to you, the way that you looked up to players that you then idolised and went on to play with. So how does that feel, that you've got all these next Siobhan Hunters coming through and they're all looking up to you?
Yeah, I think it's nice. I don't really like, not that I don't like it, but I don't get too, like some people, their head, they can't fit through the door. But no, I'm quite a humble person. I like to know where I came from, where I was, and that's probably the main thing for me. There's children out there that they now have a dream. Like, we didn't have that dream as a youngster, and they can now see it. They can see it 10 yards in front of them. So yeah, it's something that makes me very proud to be able to help little girls to perform, whether they're in the academy, whether they're not. That you can get there, whether you put your mind to it or you're just lucky enough to be there. But I think being able to have that platform to go and do, we had it, but probably not as big. It's much bigger now, and I think for a young child, they can say, "Oh, I want to be a footballer." Mm-hmm. I said it, but I never believed it. But now to be able to do it, it's something that I try and make sure that we all probably don't take for granted. Sorry, because I know there is players that you'll see players that just move on from club to club to club, which is fine. I don't have anything wrong with that, but I think to be able to build those relationships with young girls, because I remember it was more all Joelle, where it's now spread out. They're still all Joelle, but like there's people now, for example, like Leah Eddy, she's 21-year-old, like to be such a big role model at that age, I think is so inspiring. And you think of all these kids, and then you look, like Leah's probably got a kid right now that's their role model, but maybe in 10 years' time that role model can then play with Leah. So yeah, there's an example probably in our team, Rosie Livingston, who I was on a Zoom call with, and she says, they were like, who's your role model? And I remember I was on the Zoom call, and she says Siobhan Hunter, and now she's like in my team. So yeah, stuff like that is it's rewarding to actually see those little kids actually grow up and join your team and be alongside you as a teammate. So yeah, it's probably a scary world out there, but it's so small. You could meet them one day and then 5 years later they're beside you. So yeah, it's something that it really inspires me to be able to inspire someone. I'd probably pick another player, not me, but there's plenty of better players out there. But no, I think to be able to encourage one player or 100 players, it doesn't matter to me as long as I help someone.
Yeah. So, started pre-season last week. What's the plans? What's the ambition for the Hibs team this season coming?
I think it's just simple. I think there's no really big thing about it. I think probably everyone in the league, to be honest, knows that we didn't finish where we should have. As a Hibs team, that's not being arrogant. I think the players that we've got, the facilities that we've got, the backing that we've got from the club, we need to be a lot higher. We need to be competing a much better. We competed at times, probably with the top four, but I think for me, just to be fifth, it just doesn't sit right as a Hibs fan, as a Hibs player, and I think to just put it into a simple context that we need to be higher. We need to be competing, and we need to be that Hibs team years ago that nobody wanted to play. They didn't like playing Hibs because they were such a close unit and they were hard to break down, but also attacked as well. So yeah, I think just being able to compete again at a higher level and be consistent, I think our results showed that. We had the 1-0 Rangers game we lost in the last second, albeit we sat right back and parked the bus. But no, I think from that to possibly losing to, for example, Motherwell. Motherwell did exceptional on that day and they deserved to win. But I think for where we're at and where Motherwell were at that point, we shouldn't have been beaten by them. But that's not being disrespectful. I think that's just being a true believer in what we're doing. And yeah, I think we have to be a lot more consistent and take it in our stride that we need to be back up. And albeit it won't take overnight, it will be quite a transition because we've signed a lot of new players again and we need to gel as a group. But yeah, the main thing is just competing again and being consistent. Okay, so I'm going to put you on the spot now here. So you've had such a successful career, played with so many players. If you have to pick your five-a-side team of players that you have played with, who would you be going for? We'll start off with a goalkeeper. Who would? Goalkeeper. I'm going to go Hannah Reid. I think when I played with her, she was second to none. I think she never got the opportunities that she possibly deserved. I think as a goalkeeper, she was probably one of the best. I think when she was at Hibs, she was brilliant, and to be able to play alongside your best friend, probably at that time as well. There was very few people that did that. You always say, I've got my best pal and you've got about 100 best friends. But no, she was probably one of my best friends, and to be able to have her behind me, I just feel really confident. And yeah, she's a big unit and a five-side goal. So. Okay, so it's a five-a-side team, so it's a bit of free-for-all. Positions don't matter. Okay, go for your four outfield players. I want to go Caroline Muir. She's best in the world, so you can't miss her out. This is tough. I'm going to go Joelle Murray. She's pretty consistent. I think to have her.
I was gonna say, I don't
I'll
think she'd
just
have been
stick
happy
her
if
at
you
the
left
back.
her out.
No, I'd have her right on the text after. But no, I think just what she's done for the club and our stats speak for themselves.
And
I've
still performing.
That's what I say. I hope that I look like that at 37 because there's no chance. But nah, I think I'll have her in my team. Claire Emsley, she loved five-a-sides, so she's just unbelievable at five-a-sides. And is it one more?
One more.
One more. God, need some goals in there, don't I?
Yeah, I was thinking you need a poacher in there.
Mm-hmm. Try to think. There's been that many. My mind has went blank. I'll go Ailey Adams. I've went quite past, but I think present right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's someone that has so much potential. She's so young, but she's willing to learn. And I'll just stick her up front. Don't tell her to defend because she's hopeless at defending.
That's solid enough in there with who you've got. So, no, that's brilliant. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks everyone for listening and watching.